Well, good day and welcome to Saskatoon Testing Discussion Group for June 2014. As you all know, this is our final meeting for Series 2, or Season 2, whatever you want to call it. As the same as last year, I'm going to take the summer off, partially because I'm really busy in the summer and lots of people take vacation, and it's also the conference season. So just be away for a while. Start up again in September, as we did last year, and hopefully we'll start off. I'll be able to spend the summer planning a really bang up first one that lots of people growing up in the come up to. I still have my contacts that I kept trying to pull in last year. I still want to get Ollie from Calgary to come and talk to us about user experience testing and user acceptance testing. She does that for Shaw Cable Systems, which is a really good resource. Still want to get somebody from UK to come and talk to us about mobile testing and cadence testing. Those are things that are very different from what all of us experience on our daily basis. As you can tell, my non-work thrust towards professional testing is towards long-term professional development and continuous learning. And so that's what I'm really working on right now. I'm just looking to find ways to get more opportunities available to people in the Saskatoon region who are interested in testing, maybe not as professional, but maybe as a sideline to what they're doing, developers who are interested in test-driven development, or developers who just want to understand more about testing so that they can produce better product, product owners who are interested more about testing so they can understand the process a bit better. Just there's lots of people who in the software development cycle should have an interest in testing more than just the testers. I want to find ways to bring them in so that they can join this discussion so that we can have a broader, more rounded discussion about testing. And of course I want feedback from all of you about what discussion topics you're looking for. Should we be looking at doing highly technical sessions where we're all invited to bring a laptop to a specific session because we're going to work on a specific technique or tool? Or do we want to keep the topics fairly broad as we've been doing so that all of us can relate it directly back to our job and we can all talk about the topic from the point of view of where we're currently working? So those are great questions. For next season, I'll try and ask all of you these questions over the course of the summer repeatedly. So I get lots of different answers from different people, and different answers from the same people because I've asked them several times. So today we're doing lightning talks. Lightning talks are 5 to 7 minutes of talk, i.e., timer out, about anything to do with testing. What's currently something new that you're trying to find out something more about testing? What's a new idea about testing that you're mulling over and you want some feedback on? What is something that irritates you about testing? It's your chance to talk about anything testing related and how it works. Pretty obvious. I'll set 5 minutes on the timer, and you can go. If you want audience participation model, do it. If you just want to stand there and diatribe for 10 minutes, you won't get to. Timer will go off. So, anyway, one of my biggest projects right now that I'm finding I'm really getting back into is Selenium work. While I was doing it, one of the things I stumbled over is a paid add-on for Selenium called Helium, which is kind of interesting. The idea behind Helium is to abstract away almost all of the Selenium so that it's more like scripting that you could get a business analyst to do. So where you can say, click on the button that says this word on it, and it will click on the button. It's all very cucumberish language. It's still Python, but it's all a helium dot click element or click button and then the name on the button. Helium dot enter form selector for the form, by for the form, and it's all. The selectors can be as easy as the ID. It does a lot of under the hoods trying to figure out what kind of selector that you gave it so that it will find what you're looking for. It looks really interesting. I haven't used it yet, but I've been doing a lot of reading on it. And I really do think that that's probably where a lot of the automation stuff seems to be going. There's still a lot of people working on the really low-level stuff, the direct Selenium and the web, making WebDriver calls direct just to have really fine control. But there seems to be a really big push in testing to abstract as much of that away as possible, so as many people as possible can write the scripts so that they have value, rewritability by anybody. Business analysts can come in and write it. It may not work properly, it may be fragile, give it to a specialist who can say, oh, you used this, we need a better selector here because that selector's too fragile. Really cut down on the development time. They claim a 50% acceleration in your development time and a 75% hardening over raw Selenium built stuff. I don't know if I believe it, but I'm interested to try it out. A lot of Selenium. So that's just sort of my bug I want to put in your guys' ears to think about it is more detailed or more abstract future of automated testing. And not just doing testing. It is more abstract the way we were going for API testing. It's more abstract the way we're going for unit testing. Or is this cucumber or BDE, business-driven development trend, something that we really have to embrace. Is going to be the future, whether or not we want it. Just some thoughts for you. That's my thought. And I'm pretty good at time. I've got a minute left.
I have a question for that.
Yeah.
So that provides like for all the UI elements. So how does it provide
specifically with Helium, it provides. It has its own getters that provide its own sort of wrapped element. So you can say get. There's a couple different gets that you can call. It's like get button, get form. And it wraps them in its own selectors. You can also pass it CSS or link text selectors or XPath selectors, depending on how fiddly the item is to find on the page. At the top level, like everybody shows off the easy versions, right? It's a login page. It's only got 4 elements on it. They all have ID tags, so you can just say, enter text, username, quote, the username, enter text password, or text for the password, press button, and it all works, right? It's an easy screen. Even in Selenium, the login screen is easy to automate. How easy it is to automate some of the more complicated screens, especially some of the screens that we've been fighting with, where we've got multiple levels of pop-ups that we have to deal with from different websites to interact with. Infinite scrollers, really hard to deal with. I recently did some work for gridders with their little black boxes that appear up in one corner. I don't know how well Helium's going to work with that. I'll have to actually run some tests. So that beep signals the end of my turn. It's now someone else's turn to get up and talk about anything. You just heard me babble about Selenium for 5 minutes. It's your turn to come up here and babble about something about testing. API testing, frustrations of workload, the fragility of continuous integration of your tests once you get into continuous integration, but they're always green when you run them locally. What has you fired up in testing? And I'm actually going to step away from the floor, but he's going to have to volunteer, because I'm not going to call him. You have to go up there, you have to be on camera. Set the time timer to 5 minutes.
Just like
Oh, you're on camera. Well, you're just on the edge of camera there. So the other side of the table works better, or I can just do that, and now you're fully on camera.
yeah, like not really. It's like managing the automation and the time space time doing other stuff. So it becomes more complex like when you're not a dedicated resource on the automation, spending just 1 hour during the week for automation and then you are sidetracked to all doing all the automation stuff and you appear faces that challenge. So it's become more, more difficult to do that and manage the time rather than that. And you lost your focus, you lost your there, and every week you're changing some stuff. First of all, then you have to keep track of it, what's working and what's broken. So every time you're running, you have to keep track of that, what is broken, and you have to first of all do a lot of maintenance there. Whatever is broken, you have to fix that. And you hardly are getting time to manage that. And then apart from that, if you have to do new stuff, the things will just change. It becomes more complex. I just wanted to bring that, like, how do you can either or ground. But that's a challenge right now for me. Figure out a way to manage stuff. And also I have seen recently like with our automation stuff, like if you keep trying the same test data right now, which we are doing, you have to try the same test data. So eventually, like your test case is completed and it becomes like you cannot find new bugs in it, and that's just a very small interface. So I was going through articles which there is, I don't know, like is there something like you can generate a random data from it and then so I was going to build something like testspicer.com. You can register there and get an API and use that API to generate different data for like phone number, different type of data type like phone numbers, strings, and email requirements. So like I think they just append very different types. So I was like I just went through it and I didn't use it so far. But it looks very interesting to do. It can generate different type of data and you can just pass, say for example, if you want to pass a string of data and it will generate all the time. And you can, I think it's meant to API try like different type of data. That is another challenge, like because with automation, if you are keep trying the same test data, it's like it doesn't make sense. It's just technical. But if you have your test ready and you can run with different sort of test data, that will maximize the code coverage and it will also sort of negative scenarios. It's hard to do it manually like that. So those are the two things which I'm facing right now.
The problem that you refer to there is often called the well-walked path has no dog poop. There's lots of dog poop in the yard, but you walk that path every day. Yeah. You always find, anytime there's something there, you find it, but you're not finding the stuff off the path.
Those are like my challenges right now.
So other than TestSpicer, is there anything that you've come up with to help?
No, not recently because I mentioned this. But recently, like I also like you can pass through Excel sheet or something like you can pass the data to CSV or like, but I still haven't tried. But there also like we have some organization with our functionality like you can create data for more details manufacturer data. So yeah, I have to work on that.
I believe it was the blog, one of Google's blogs, I think it was called Testing on the Toilet, talked about how they used automation to test Google Maps and Google Chat. in some really interesting ways where they didn't suffer from the trodden path syndrome. Might be some interesting reading that would help you with that.
Yeah, because I find it like, once you have your Olympic test ready, and it's good to have some things that are data and so that you find good.
Cool. Thank you.
So something that's always been kind of a problem for me is understanding the bounds of what I'm testing, especially when you're on very complicated.
Also, but not to be followed by me.
When you're working with LBUI and you're working in the back end, you tend to get a lot of technical stories, and not always are they outlined as the end results. It's things that should happen, maybe in no particular order, maybe not even certain things should happen, maybe it's just building a structure or putting like a table in place or something like that. So I find it's very difficult to put a yes or no on the end of my testing. Did it pass or did it fail? A lot of the times it's a question mark because I can't tell what it was supposed to do versus what it actually does do. Even pushing back on some of the testers, I get responses where, well, I fixed the code. And I'm like, well, how do you know that it's working? Well, it's really hard to test. How do you know that it's not working, maybe? Sometimes pushing the opposite is, if you can't tell that it's working, can you show me that it's not broken? Right, so they're searching through log files or searching data store entries, or that's been something that's really frustrating to me. Not only do I need to know the end result, there's a lot of the times the path to get to the end result is so complicated that I have to check all of the stops along the way. That I may get an end result that says, hey, it looks like it's successful, but it's broken down the entire way through the process. So that's one of the places where it's struggle. I'm not even sure how I would go about fixing it other than increasing my knowledge, both with depth and breadth. When I'm testing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds like a really hard problem. It's especially the scope portion that you alluded to right at the beginning. Controlling scope of testing. I think everybody here in the room or on the recording has seen the triangle testing problem that I've posed to most of you, and that just goes to show that simple things have almost infinite numbers of testing possibilities, and yet we're constantly asked to test complex structures. So we do have to be able to scope, but without understanding of what it's being used for, it's hard to scope because you don't actually know the use case.
And that's what I'm constantly doing, is trying to understand what it's used for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not clear always in the stories of issues, right? It's just, this is the item that's broken, and if it's fixed. It requires a lot more diving in to try to figure out how it's used and when it's used and all of that, to make sure that all those steps are still working.
Anybody next?
I've got 2 minutes left. I work for Investment Networks. I've been at test lead there for 2 or 3 years now. One of the problems I encountered with is actually the people that work for me, determining whether or not what they write actually covers what they're supposed to be testing. Trying to stay focused. And a lot of that is in a sense my problem too, because we're dealing with different cultures, we're dealing with different educational backgrounds, And a lot of times what they're saying, you don't necessarily agree with, but it actually covers the job. Another thing is, while you're dealing with different cultures, dealing with different educational backgrounds, you're dealing with test tubes on the other side of the world possibly, you're dealing with different time zones, and there's a lot of adjustments that have to be made to your lifestyle, the way you think, to accommodate all these people that work for you. That's about all I say. I've probably got lots of time in there.
No, I want you to cycle back to the top there for a second. So one of the things you were saying is you have trouble determining whether or not what they did covered what needed to be done?
Well, it's based on requirements-based testing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we used to work on. We write some test codes that covers this. And I don't necessarily agree with that now. It may cover it off, it may not. It may also be that I don't agree with the old idea. I do it this way. But it's kind of putting yourself aside. Saying, hey, does it do it? Really?
Okay, cool. So your big issue seems to be related in the communication side of the testing as opposed to the.
Well, I guess I learned, because I still kind of do it. You've got to keep an open mind, I guess, is the bottom line. And you've got to accept what other people are telling you, not necessarily putting your views in there, which I think is.
Mm-hmm.
That make sense?
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that one. It's hard to judge another's effort when you have a preconceived notion of what their effort should have been.
Well, it's like, it's not good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So what? It doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I've been surprised by that on a couple of occasions where it's completely not the way I would have tested it, but lo and behold, it's actually proven or unfounded errors that I would have found it.
Well, you can, with you, so you can learn from that. Like, it's kind of your testing things that I mean, not being narrow minded.
And I guess probably like in Casima's case, like I think whatever test report like testers write, it goes directly to client as well, right? Sometimes right to Cisco or someone. So those reports, like whatever test results they write, it should be like as per some proper
Like what we're doing now
documentation.
is we currently have testing, testing, testing gather on every second Friday after a couple hours, and they go through everybody's test case. That's the case is. You get emailed out to you, you review it, you discuss it. And a lot of times they change the email, times they're just fine. But it's a great learning experience. You get to learn from what everybody else is writing, get everybody's input, and have a good time sometimes.
Cool.
It's a good team building here.
Cool. Thank you.
So, that isn't really an issue, it's more or less something that I actually really enjoy last time. And the fact that that thing is really a black box. Like, compared to where I was working, everything was done behind the scenes. I got one bundle, here, this is working, should be up, it's on test, alright. Go, check test, things out, versions out. At the time, it was like, okay, wrong versions out. Here, I like being able to, control my own versions. I can see, alright, I'm going to get the right version this time, and That's why the code isn't working right now. So it's been something I've really enjoyed about working here. And it's actually pushed me to I'm trying to learn to read the code. So I get into the pull requests and I actually can see where it might be affected and what could be affected. Or I read a comment in the pull request that says, did you check this? And it was something that I wouldn't have even thought to test. So it's helped me learn, helped me, I feel, to test better. Hit more areas that I wouldn't have tested previously until I would hit like a regression and then maybe caught it. So I'm finding errors sooner. Yeah, definitely don't know if I can put 5 minutes, but.
Well, let's try. How do you find that code comprehension affects your testing?
Well, I just find that it helps me figure out what places to test that I wouldn't have thought to test by just looking at the story. So the story says adding an image is broken. All right. Well, you go in the pull request, check that, and you actually see that there's a source for shorten link is actually changed as well. Oh. So I should check the shorten link and make sure that's working as well.
So it's giving you more places to test. Do you ever find that it's telling you not to test certain things?
Not to test certain things? I haven't found that. The only thing that really keeps me from testing something is if I pay for development. And they say, oh, that works fine. My family says. But I like to, at the same time, push back and say, well, let's try it anyways. See what happens.
So as a non-coder, how does your perspective on a story change as your comprehension is growing? Are you reading the code more before you start thinking about the testing, or are you still coming up with your testing before reading the code and using the code to augment it?
It depends on what the story is, for the most part. I'm still more or less diving in and seeing what I can break first, and then I go in and check the pull request to see what changes could have been made, and then increasing my testing as I see on a particular story.
I think you're trying, what you're doing is you're saying the boundaries of what the issue is, right? Like the issue tells you only so much, that this is what was broken, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the demo from the devs, right? And they tell you what they think they do.
Yeah.
And that again, Recruiter could not include everything in the touch change. And then so you have another way of looking at the actual code that was changed, and that may spark some ideas as to, oh, I didn't even think to look in this area before we touched the file. Right? I may not understand exactly what changes they've done, but I know that it worked in that area, so I can just make sure I'll read it.
Yeah. And again, that helps you find it earlier as well. You're not catching it in the regression on demo. Like, oh crap, this didn't work. And then you actually know where it is as well.
I have no idea where that camera pointed. I'll just say that you guys just work. So thank you very much to our list of speakers who were willing to get up and speak today for a few minutes. I'd love to do bigger, longer lightning talks in the evening sometime where we can give like 10 or 15 minutes to people, even let them bring slides, which we didn't do today. But thank you for coming out. Our next session should be, I believe it's the 8th of September. So it'll be really early in September. Topic's not really announced yet. I'll try to announce the topic Well, I will probably announce the topic while I'm at CAST 2014 in New York City. For those of you who don't know, CAST is the conference for the Association of Software Testing. We have an annual conference. This year it's in New York. 2 days of a really strong confer style conference with 2 really good days of workshops on either end. If you've never been, take a look at it. There are a bunch of really passionate people who are all passionate about testers and helping other people become better testers. That's all for season 2, the 2013-2014, 2013-2014 season of Saskatoon Software Testing Discussion Group. Thank you.
When is that?
When is CAST this year? I gotta remember because I'm leaving on the 8th, but it doesn't start on the 8th. So I'm leaving on the 8th of August, so it must be 12th to 14th of August this year. Yeah, it's that second Monday through Thursday in August this year. Location for next year hasn't been announced yet. If you're a real Selenium buff and love to travel, Selenium Conf this year is in Bangalore, India in September. I unfortunately will not be going. I'd love to go. The last year it was in Boston. It would have been a little bit more accessible. Hopefully next year it'll be in Europe somewhere, so I can go. Anyway, thank you.
Stop broadcast button, which stops recording.